because that's what really we need right now is an underdog world revolution as soon as possible. And I guess I was kind of more vociferous about it than I'm now being. So he didn't take it that well. So I decided that to really make my point, I'd better just take the mic. So I went up and I took the mic and I stopped the band and I started ranting in, a somewhat crazed and psychotic fashion to the hundreds of people in the Center Cafe. And basically my idea was like, underdog world revolution right now, let's just do it. What the hell, And, some people didn't think this was a great idea. Actually, most people, I don't think anybody actually thought it was a really good idea except for me. Well, it probably wasn't, well, who knows, So finally, it took a while. These two guys, several guys, 10 guys, they managed to get me off the stage. We went down to the dust, and, we talked about it for a while. And among these guys was an old friend of mine, I guess, well, now he's an old friend, Paradox, who's a San Francisco performance artist. And so ultimately it was like me and Paradox and about two other guys. And we talked for about half an hour. And I began to concoct a whole plan about how to save the planet from imminent destruction. And it basically involved stopping the momentum of the Burning Man burn experience and turning Burning Man into a center for drafting a new global planetary constitution. And my idea was that instead of burning the man down on Saturday night, we would have a 24-hour concert there, where we would get all of the famous musicians, DJs, rock stars, and so on to play one after another. We would get all the videographers and sort of internet geniuses to film it, beam it out live across the planet. Then instead of burning down the temple on Sunday night, we would create a 24-hour peace meditation around the temple with all of the spiritual people, channelers, mystics, meditators, energy workers, whatever. And we would basically just stay at Burning Man for like a few weeks. And it just got more and more elaborate, my concept. I had the idea that the rich people would just donate their resources to make this happen. So we would send trucks out, bring food back. I thought we would communalize all the property, just do away with private property. Why not? So at first, Paradox and these other two guys were really trying to convince me that it wasn't a very good idea. And I had the idea that we would go and find Larry Harvey, first of all, and then certain other key figures, different camps. And I remember, I sort of reached this juncture with Paradox, where I was looking at his face, and he was kind of like, if I was like the last man on Earth, he was like the second to last man, And the firelight was in his face, and the lasers were blinking and so on. And I could just see this kind of intense kind of ambiguity and ambivalence and kind of like, half beginning to almost buy my story, But then I think what actually happened is that Paradox is a performance artist. So he began to think, well, this could be like the best performance art piece ever, underdog world revolution, what the hell? So he joined me, and this other guy joined me. And so we came up with a plan. So we went to, I figured I'd start with Disorient. A lot of wealthy, well-connected, powerful people at Disorient. If we get them on board, then Utter's Oasis, we could just clean up the whole thing in 10 hours, we could have the whole thing turned around. So went to Disorient, had some friends there, but I was still a little bit, I wasn't as sort of charming and convincing as every now and then I can be. I was a little bit more in the ranting, psychotic mode still. So an old friend of mine, Nicholas, was drinking a bottle of bourbon or something, enthusiastically, having a great time. I ended up knocking the bottle out of his hands, just being like, look, you've done this, how many years? You've done this 6 years, you've been drinking this and having this thing going on. It's kind of enough. It's time to start the underdog world revolution. Let's just do something else. And he began to consider it. I think he went off on some kind of mission and never returned. But that was, anyway. So, but other people were not that excited about it. And one of those people was very unexcited about it. And he decided that I had to leave Disorient right away. And I was like, no, you don't own this property. It's just dust. It's all the same dust everywhere. Why you can't kick me out of Disorient? And he felt differently, so he actually dragged me out by my feet. So then I was like, all right, so that wasn't fully successful, but I'm not giving up. And at some point I lost Paradox. He had like a girlfriend, I don't know, something that he had to take care of that involved like his personal life, I don't know. So I decided I would go back to the Center Cafe and I would keep trying, So I went back and talked to more people, and I got some people kind of inspired, and the plan kept unrolling. Like I then saw like take over the printing press. If you're going to have a revolutionary government, you need to control the media. And I found a couple people who were going to help me set this up, and I had some real successes. I have to say one of my probably greatest successes. I went to get a cup of coffee because the only place you can buy anything at Burning Man is the Center Cafe. So I figured I'd get a coffee. I love coffee, and went to get the coffee, and the guy said, at the counter, this blonde, sort of heavy-set, affable guy was like, "Oh, what do you want?" I'm like, "Well, actually, I kind of want coffee, but really what I want to do is start the underdog world revolution right now." And he looked at me, and I said, "Yeah, I think like right now is a great time. It's like we're always waiting around for things, but this is now, and now is a really good time to start a world revolution." And he was like, "Okay," and he left his job and he joined me. So he became like the second lieutenant, basically. And so I just kept going, and by like midday the next day, I think I had like 20, 25 people like on board for this project. And we were like setting up like rosters, issuing revolutionary communiques, sending out different envoys to different camps. It had a lot of really beautiful moments in it, having discussions and so on, and conferences. Then the day went on, and it became clear. First of all, we couldn't get the printing press; they'd already stopped printing, so we couldn't issue a vast kind of document for the entire crowd. And we just weren't going to be able to stop the burning of the man. So I began to lose some of my troops. And when the man burned, I had maybe like 3 lieutenants left. And we watched it burn from a distance, kind of was getting a little melancholy at that point. And then I lost the last 2, and I was really depressed because I thought I'd failed. No underground world revolution at Burning Man. So I went to sleep feeling, sad, basically. But then I woke up the next morning and I felt incredibly happy, actually, almost like ecstatic. And I just felt like, I just brought this energy out into the table, into the public, and I'd released it. And it had further repercussions. I mean, we ended up staying an extra night on Monday and creating a sort of panel of social organizers. And yeah, so that's pretty much the story of the failed underground world revolution at Burning Man. But, there may be another chance. You never know.